In this course, you will learn the most practical knowledge you can benefit from straight away. It is a step-by-step walkthrough, and I'm going to show you 7 magic formulas that you need, and give you bonuses, and provide you a practice sheet so you can practice what you learn and hone your craft. Thank you, and good luck with your interviews. What is data validation? In Excel, the data validation feature helps you control what can be entered in your worksheet. For example, you can create a drop-down list of items in a cell or restrict entries such as the date range or whole numbers only, or create custom rules for what can be entered. In this worksheet, you will see how to create a drop-down list of choices in a cell, like the list of movies shown in J10. I'm going up to the ribbon, go to Data tab, and choose Data Validation. Instead of any value, we want to allow a list, and in this source box, we need to select our range of titles or range of movies, which are in column A. If I select column A, all rows will be listed. However, we want only the movie titles to be listed. Therefore, we select from A2 to A27. Click OK, and you have data validation. Every time you click on this cell, you can see the drop-down arrow and select any one of the movies. So we will be able to change this, and later on, we will get the appropriate sales or any other figure for this item. In this worksheet, I'm going to show you the second magic formula, which is the vlookup. By definition, vlookup means searching vertically in the left column of a table that gives us the opportunity to tell which column has the answer. It can return any data type, such as string, numeric, or date, and there are 2 basic kinds of vlookup: exact match and approximate match. So let's see how it works in practice. We would like to get the ratings of a movie selected in G10, which is the movie Jason Bourne. The ratings are in column D, and we can see the rating of 5 matches the movie selected. We will use vlookup to return the rating of this movie. I will show you step by step how the formula works so you can learn how to use it. Formulas always start with equal. So press equal, choose the formula. In this case, we are going to use vlookup. Start typing vlookup and it will come up automatically. Press tab. As you can see, there are 4 arguments or parameters: the lookup value, table array, column index number, and range lookup. The lookup value means the value you are trying to look up. In this case, we are going to look up for our movie name, which is located in cell G10. The table array, where you are looking for the information. In this case, from A to G. The column number index, it is in the 4th column. And the range lookup, we are trying to see an exact match. Again, we are trying to look up the word Jason Bourne. This is our lookup value, comma. From A to G cell, this is our table array, comma. In the 4th column, this is our column index number, comma, using an exact match. At this point, the lookup can't be approximate match because we want to know exactly what is the rating for this movie. Exact match means that we will get the exact rating returned to the cell. The pop-up comes up. True means approximate match and false means exact match. We want the word false here. We don't want the word true approximate match. You can either type the word false or put in the number 0. Doesn't really matter. Press enter and we will get the answer. Alternatively, click here to insert function. choose vlookup and press OK. The lookup value is JSON-born, tab. The table array is from A to G, where we are looking for the information, tab. The column index number is our fourth column, tab. And range lookup, we want to find an exact match, so you can tap false or 0. Press OK and we will get the exact answer. So the main focus here is the idea that you are trying to look up information that must be exact. You need to have a force argument in vlookup. 0 or false means an exact match. Not exactly intuitive, but that's what has to be done when you are using vlookup to find an exact match. If we change our item to another, the formula automatically returns the rating for that item as well. So we will be able to change this and then come up with the appropriate sales or any other figure for that item. In this worksheet, I'm going to show you the third magic formula, which is the sumif. By definition, the sumif function adds all numbers in a range of cells based on one criteria. It can return a numeric value. So let's see how it works in practice. We would like to calculate the total pay of movie type comedies. You can see the profit in column E and the movie type in column C. I will show you step by step how this formula works so you can learn how to use it. As you already know, formulas always start with equal. Start typing sumif and the formula comes up automatically. Press tab and as you can see there are three arguments. The range of cells that you want to apply the criteria against, which is going to be C. The criteria determines which cells to add. We would like to add the comedies. The sum range, it is the range of cells to sum together, and we would like to sum together column E. Under the range argument, we want to apply criteria against the movie types to only add up the values of the comedy movies. So the range is the column C, comma, criteria is comedy. This determines which cells to add, comma. Sum range is column E, the range of numbers that will be potentially be added together. In this example, the third parameter is E. For every value in C that matches comedy, the corresponding value in E will be summed. Alternatively, you can click here to insert function, choose sumif, press OK. The range is column C. Tab. The criteria is comedy. The sum range is column E. Press OK and we will get the same answer. That's what has to be done when you want to add all numbers in a range of cells based on one criteria. In this worksheet, I'm going to show you the fourth magic formula, which is the countif. By definition, the countif function counts the number of cells in a range that meets a given criteria. It can return a numeric value. So let's see how it works in practice. We would like to calculate the total number of movie premieres in April. You can see the premieres in cell G. We will use this function countif to calculate the total number of movie premieres in April. I will show you step by step how the formula works so you can learn how to use it. Equal, countif, tab. As you can see, there are two arguments. The range argument, which means cells that you want to count based on the criteria. It's going to be column G. And the criteria, which determines which cells to count. April is what we are going to give as a criteria. Under the range argument, these are the cells that you want to count based on a criteria. Under criteria, we determine which cells to count. In this case, we want April. So the range, column G, comma, criteria, April, enter. As you can see, there are 4 movie premieres in April. Alternatively, you can click here to insert function. Countif is what we are looking for. Press OK. Range column is G. Tab. Criteria. Type April. Press OK and we will get 4 again. So there are 4 movie premieres in April. That's what has to be done when you want to count the number of cells in a range that meets a given criteria. In this section, I'm going to show you the 5th magic formula, which is countifs. By definition, the countifs function counts the number of cells in a range that meets a single or multiple criteria. It can return a numeric value. So let's see how it works in practice. We would like to calculate the total number of movies rated 7 in July. You can see that ratings in cell D and the premieres in cell G. We need to apply criteria against these ranges, therefore we will use countifs to calculate the total number of movies rated 7 in July. I will show you step by step how the formula works, so you can learn how to use this as well. Equal countifs tab. You can see there are at least 2 arguments here. Criteria range 1, the range of cells that you want to apply the criteria against, which is gonna be column D. Criteria 1 determines which cells to count. Criteria is applied against criteria range 1, which is gonna be 7 at this point. Criteria range 2 and criteria 2 is optional, and there can be up to 127 ranges. So criteria range 2 will be column G, and the criteria 2 will be July. Criteria range 1 is the range of cells that we want to apply criteria against, in this case column D, comma. Criteria 1 determines which cells to count. The criteria is movies with ratings of 7, comma. Criteria range 2, we want the range of premieres, comma. Criteria 2 is to find the premieres in July. Enter. As you can see, there are 3 movies rated 7 in July. Alternatively, you can click here to insert function. Choose countifs. If you can't see it in the list, you can search for it. Press OK. Criteria range 1 is D, tab. Criteria 1 is 7, tab. Criteria range 2 is G, tab. Criteria 2 is July, tab. Press OK and we will get 3 again. So there are 3 movies rated 7 in July. That's what has to be done when you want to count the number of cells in a range that meets a single or multiple criteria. In this worksheet, I'm going to show you the 6th magic formula, which is the averageif. By definition, the averageif function returns the average of all numbers in a range of cells based on one criteria. It returns a numeric value. Let's see how it works in practice. We would like to calculate the average profit for action movies. You can see the movie types in cell C and the profit in cell E. We need to apply criteria against the movie type range in cell C. We will use averageif to calculate the average profit for action movies. I will show you step by step how the formula works so you can learn how to use it. Press equal, start typing averageif, press tab, and as you can see, there are 3 arguments here. The range means the range of cells that you want to apply the criteria against, which is column C. The criteria which determines the cells to average. We would like the action movies. The average range is the cells we want to average, which is column E. Again, the range of cells that we want to apply the criteria against, which is column C, the movie types, comma, criteria that we want to average, the cells that contains the word action, comma, average range, we need to average the profit in cell E, where you can see the profit of each movie, enter. As you can see, the average profit for action movies is 12 million. Alternatively, you can click here to insert function, choose averageif. If you can't find it in the drop down, you can search for it and then press OK. The range is C, which is movie types, tab. The criteria is action, tab. Average range, we want to average the profit in cell E, tab. Press OK, and we will get 12 million again. So the average profit for action movies is about 12 million. That's what has to be done when you want to return the average of all numbers in a range of cells based on a given criteria. In this worksheet, I'm going to show you the 7th magic formula, which is the index and match. I will break it down into two parts. First, I will explain index, and then secondly, I will explain the match function, and I will show you how to combine them in order to use it powerfully. By definition of index, the index function returns a value in a table based on the intersection of a row and the column position within that table. It returns any data type such as string, numeric or date, etc. So the index function gives us the ability to pull data out of a table based on a column and the row reference. If you start typing index, you can see there are three parameters here. The first parameter in the index function is the table or the source of data where the lookup should be performed. In this example, the first parameter is from A to G, which defines the range of cells that contains the data. The second parameter is the row number used to determine the intersection location in the table. A value of 21 indicates the 21st row in the table. The third parameter is the column number used to determine the intersection location in the table. A value of 6 indicates the 6th column in the table, and the value of 7 is the 7th column, and so on. In this example, the third parameter is 6, so we know that our intersection will occur in the 6th column in the table. Since we now have our row and column values, we know that we are looking for the intersection of row 21 and column 6 in the table of data. This makes the intersection point occur at cell F21 in the table, so the index function will return the paramount pictures. So the index function is pulling out of information from a table based on a column and the row reference. By definition of match, the match function searches for a value in an array and returns the relative position of the item, returns a numeric value, or NA error if doesn't find a match. With the match function, we would like to know if the information we are looking for exists in the database. In our example, if Jason Bourne is an existing movie in our database. The first thought might be vlookup, but vlookup is not to find a match, but to return another value. We want to know if Jason Bourne is simply found in column A. We use a function called match. The match function starts like a vlookup function, equal match tab. The lookup value, we are looking to see if Jason Bourne exists. Where are we looking? In the lookup array. Let's use the entire column reference, which is column A. This is a range of cells that should contain our movie. The third argument is the match type. We want an exact match, so we're gonna put in 0. We use 1 or -1 when we are looking for a number that falls between, below, or above a certain level. This case is 0. You can click or type the 0. Is our movie in column A? Yes, but what is 21 means? It's in the 21st position of the lookup array location, so in this case it's in column A. Row 21 is Jason Bourne. If there is one character missing, then it's not found, so NA will return. So the match function is to find whether something is found in a different location. Other way, the purpose of the match function is to display to whether we have found something or not. Our task is by using a formula, display the studio of the movie in J10. We will use index and match to get the answer. I want to show you how to use index and match together to pull out appropriate information from a table. In column H, we can see Jason Bourne and studio. We could use data validation here as well to allow us be more flexible, so let's do it. So when we change it, we will come up with the appropriate figure for that item. As you can see, Jason Bourne's location is here in column A in the 21st entry. Equal match Jason Bourne is what we are looking for, comma, and where are we looking? In these cells right here you can highlight column A, comma, and we need an exact match. So what does this tell us? Jason Bourne is in the 21st location of this range right here in column A, and similarly for the studios we want to use the match function to find that bit of information, comma, in these cells from A to G, comma, and 0 because we are looking for an exact match. Where is the studio found in this list? It's in the 6th position from the beginning of the list if we choose exact match. Using the index function, equal index, we are looking for cells from A to G, comma, and we are trying to get information out of the 21st row of Jason Bourne, comma, and the 6th column, enter. Paramount Pictures comes up. We are looking at Jason Bourne right here and the studio. They intersect Paramount Pictures. That's the answer we got. Nothing wrong to build them separately. In fact, sometimes it's a good idea to do that. But we might also do, when we are more familiar with this, to essentially turn this into one formula. By taking this match function, highlighting just this portion of it, pressing Ctrl+C, and then escape, and plug it into this formula here to the row number section to replace 21. Obviously, it's gonna make it longer, and of course you don't have to do this, but if you really want to turn it into one function, then do this again with the studio one. Take this information, edit it, copy this portion of it, just as before, Ctrl+C, escape, plug that into here as well to the column number section, replace 6 to get the information. A much longer function, but now I have the complete answer in, and we don't need these cells 21 and 6, so you can delete them. So it's up to you if you want to do that or not. You can put it over here or elsewhere. So we put the data validation here if you wish. If you click in Paramount Pictures, it does show that we can nest these functions in a creative way to pull out information from this table. I will show you another way to find the information we are looking for. So back to our original question, display the studio of the movie in J10. We want to display the studio of the Jason Bourne. We need to find out first of all if this movie exists in the list, and if yes, where we can find it. And we use the match function here, equal match, to find this value J10, comma. In this list title in column A, we can use the entire column, comma, and we need an exact match. Is this movie found? If so, where? It's in the 21st row. But now let's go and pick up the studio. We need to use the index function to pull information out of the 6th column here. It's column F, 21st row. For a moment, we will put this in a separate column and then we're gonna put them back together. So we know which row it's coming out of. Equal index. We need to use the index function now. So where are we looking? First might be we are looking from A to G, but not really. We are looking for only the studio in column F. Index F, comma. Which row we are looking for? We can type in 21 or click in the information we found here. 21. In the 21st cell, downward, and which column? There is only one column here actually, column F. So we don't need anything, but would be logical to put in 1. So enter, and this is our answer, Paramount Pictures. If the range array that you are using is only one column, then we don't need the column reference, so we take that out, enter. So essentially, let's do this all in one step. Take this information here, copy with Ctrl+C and Escape, plug it in here to this location, paste, enter. We don't need this 21 anymore. So index and match together allows us to find information we couldn't find by using a vlookup. Index and match gives us the potential to pull together information by using the functions in a nested way. This is a very powerful function, and by using it you can find information very quickly. Now let's practice it together. Using a formula, display the rating of the movie in J10. Equal index. We are looking for the rating which is in column D. We are going to nest the match function in the index function to find if this movie exists in the list of movies in column A. We are looking for an exact match, and closing the parentheses for the match and index as well. We can see that the rating of Jason Bourne is 5. Using a formula, display the director of the movie in J10. Equal index, we are looking for the director which is column B, matching with our movie Jason Bourne in J10, which is located in the title section, which is column A, by looking for an exact match and closing the parentheses for both match and index. Enter. We can see that the director of Jason Bourne is Ewan McGregor. And lastly, using a formula, display the profit of the movie in J10. Equal index, we are looking for the profit which is in column E, matching with our movie Jason Bourne in J10. Looking in the array which is located in the title section in column A, by looking for an exact match and closing the parentheses for index and match enter, we can see that the profit for this movie, Jason Bourne, is 8.6 million. When you go back to our drop-down list, where we apply data validation, by choosing a different movie, we will get the appropriate figure for this item. In our example, the studio, the rating, the director, and the profit. So the index and match together allows us to find information we couldn't find by using a vlookup. Question 9. In this section, we want to display the number of movies with each rating in each movie type. So we are going to create a pivot table. A pivot table allows you to summarize and analyze worksheet data by extracting pieces of data from a much larger dataset. A pivot table doesn't change the original dataset. How do I create a pivot table in Microsoft Excel? In this example, the data for the pivot table resides on the sheet called Magic Formula 1. Highlight the cell where you would like to see the pivot table. In this example, we selected cell A5 on bonus sheet 1. Next, select the Insert tab from the toolbar at the top of the screen and select Pivot Table. A Create a Pivot Table window should appear. Select the range of data for the pivot table and click on the OK button. In this example, we have chosen cells A1 to G27 in sheet Magic Formula 1. Your pivot table should now appear like this. Next, choose the fields to add to the report. In this example, we have selected the checkboxes next to the title, movie type, and rating fields. Drag them into the sections you want. Finally, we want the title in cell A5 to show as movie type instead of row labels. To do this, select A5 and type movie type. A pivot table, a powerful tool that allows you to extract certain data and then summarize the data with calculations such as a sum, count, average, max, and min. You can configure the column and row headings for the pivot table and then apply any filters and sort orders to the data once your pivot table has been created. Question 10. Here we want to show the average profit of each rating in each movie type. Allow a user to filter the results by studio. Highlight the cell where you would like to see the pivot table. In this example, we have selected cell A6 on bonus sheet 2. Next, select the Insert tab from the toolbar at the top of the screen and select Pivot Table from the pop-up menu. A Create Pivot Table window should appear. Select the range of data for the pivot table and click on the OK button. In this example, we have chosen cells from A1 to G27 in sheet Magic Formula 1. Your pivot table should now appear as follows. Next, choose the fields to add to the report. In this example, we have selected the checkboxes next to the movie type, rating, profit, and studio fields. Drag them into the sections you want. You can change the sum of profit to show the average of profit instead. Click on the arrow, press Value Field Settings, choose Average, and press OK. As you can see, the average profit has appeared on our pivot table. You can also highlight column B, and from the Home section on the ribbon, you can choose a currency. And this way, our pivot table looks nicer. Again, if you want the title in cell A6 to show as rating instead of row labels, you can change it by selecting A6 and type rating. You can configure the column and row headings for the pivot table and then apply any filters and sort orders to the data once your pivot table has been created. Question 11. Here we want to present a graph which best illustrates the total number of movies in each movie type in each studio. Highlight the cell where you would like to see the pivot table. In this example, we have selected cell A6 on sheet bonus 3. Next, select the Insert tab from the toolbar at the top of the screen and select Pivot Table from the menu. A Create Pivot Table window should appear. Select the range of data for the pivot table and click on the OK button. In this example, we have chosen cells A1 to G27 in the sheet Magic Formula 1. Your pivot table should now appear as this here. Next, choose the fields to add to the report. In this example, we have selected the checkboxes next to the title, movie type, and studio fields. Drag them into the sections you want them to be displayed. Again, if you want the title in A6 to show as studio/movies instead of row labels, you can do this by selecting cell A6 and type in studio/movies. It can be hard to see the big picture when you have a data in a huge pivot table or when you have a lot of complex worksheet data that includes text and numbers with column headings like this. A pivot chart can help you make sense of this data. While a pivot chart shows data series, categories, and chart axes the same way a standard chart does, it also gives you interactive filtering controls right on the chart so you can quickly analyze a subset of your data. For worksheet data, you can create a pivot chart without creating a pivot table first. You can even create a pivot chart that is recommended for your data. Excel will then automatically create a coupled pivot table. Here's how. Click anywhere in the data. On the Insert tab, in the Charts group, pick Recommended Charts. Alternatively, you can also insert it by clicking anywhere in the pivot table to show the pivot table tools on the ribbon. Click Analyze and choose Pivot Chart. In the Insert Chart dialog box, click the chart type and the chart subtype you want. You can use any chart type except an XY scatter, bubble, or stock chart. So on the Recommended Charts tab, pick any chart. A preview of your pivot chart appears when you move your mouse over a chart type. Once you find the pivot chart you like, click OK. In the pivot chart that appears, click any interactive control and then pick the sort or filtering options you want. Now I will show you how we can clean this up because this default chart could look better. First, you can hide all these field buttons. Field buttons allow you to apply filters, but we don't really need them for our dashboard, so I will hide those. We can also reverse the order of our name on the chart to match the order displayed on our pivot table. I will right-click, choose Format Axis, and I will choose Categories in reverse order. That is going to reverse order in the categories here, so they match what on our pivot table. You can close the Format Axis here on the right. The other thing I will do, I will want to get rid of these labels here. I'm going to left click and hit the Delete key on the keyboard. I also want to get rid of the total, so click that and delete. And I want to delete these vertical lines, so I will get rid of those as well. Click and delete. Also, I would like to add some labels here. In Excel 2013, you can click on this plus button on the right hand side, go to data labels, that will add our data labels. I want to make this plot area a bit smaller, so the data label doesn't overlap the bar, and I also want to make these bars wider. To do that, I will right click on a bar, press Format Data Point, and I'm going to decrease the gap width. As you can see, it makes the bars bigger and the gap smaller. I'm going to add the title here. As you can see, with a few clicks, we have this great looking chart that allow us to visually see our total number of movies in each movie type in each studio. This is the power of pivot table, and it's very easy to use and very powerful. Pivot table allows you to quickly summarize and visualize your information. In this section, we are going to practice what we have learned so far. Let's answer these 8 questions together, step by step. So the first one is to create a pick list for title in cell G10. I'm going up to the ribbon, go to Data tab, and choose Data Validation. Instead of any value, we want to allow a list. In this source box, we need to select our range of titles or range of movies, which are in column A. If I select column A, all rows will be listed. However, we want only the movie titles to be listed. Therefore, we select from A2 to A27. Click OK, and you have data validation. Every time you click on this cell, you can see the drop-down arrow and select any one of the movies. So we will be able to change these, and later on we will get the appropriate sales or any other figure for this item. Question 2. Using a formula, return the rating of the person selected in J10. We are going to apply vlookup here, because we try to look up the word Jason Bourne, that's our lookup value, comma, from A to G cell, which is our table array, comma. It's located in the 4th column, so the column index number is 4, comma, using an exact match. Enter, and we will get the exact answer. Using a formula, calculate the total pay of movie type comedy. We are going to apply the sumif function here, so the range is the column C, comma, criteria is comedy, that determines which cells to add, comma, and the sum range is column E, the range of numbers that will potentially be added together. Enter, and we will get 52 million. Using a formula, calculate the total number of movie premieres in April. Equal countif. Under the range argument, these are the cells that we want to count based on a criteria. Under criteria, we determine which cells to count. In this case, we want April. So the range column is G, comma, criteria is April. Enter. As you can see, there are 4 movie premieres in April. Question 5. Using a formula, calculate the total number of movies rated 7 in July. We are going to use countifs function here. Equal countifs. The criteria range 1 is the range of cells that we want to apply criteria against. In this case, cell D, comma. The criteria determines which cells to count. The criteria is movies with ratings of 7, comma. Criteria range 2, we want the range of premieres, comma. Criteria 2 is to find the premieres in July. Enter. As you can see, there are 3 movies rated 7 in July. Question 6. Using a formula, calculate the average profit for action movies. We are going to use the averageif function to find out the information. Equal averageif, the range of cells that we want to apply the criteria against, which is column C, the movie types, comma. Criteria that we want to average the cells that contains the word action, comma. Average range, we need to average the profit in cell E, where you can see the profit of each movie. Enter. As you can see, the average profit for action movies is 12 million. Using a formula, display the studio of our movie. We will use the index function here, combining with the match function, equal index. We are looking for the studio in column F, comma. We are going to nest a match function into the index function to find out if our movie, Jason Bourne, comma, exists in column A, comma, and we are looking for an exact match, 0, and closing the parentheses for both index and match. Question 8. What is the price required to achieve a 10% margin on the total pay of movie type comedy? As you can see, we already know the total pay of movie type comedy from question 3. In order to find out how to achieve a 10% margin, we need to multiply it by 10%, which is 1.1. Enter. And we can see that 57.7 million is required to achieve a 10% margin. As you can see, we answer these 8 questions very quickly. At the interview, you will probably get 10-15 minutes for this section. Keep practicing and you will be able to perform these tasks much quicker.